Hi my Shino Pops, welcome back to my channel. As you can see in the intro, your girl has finally passed her SPI and the ultrasound physics war is over for me. Although I am still recovering, I wanted to put out a video helping other people pass their SPI. And so I wanted to share some of the things that helped me pass mine. It's currently January 25th. I took my exam. January 20th, I took my SPI. Some of the things that helped me, first things first, I think what is really important is to print out ARDMS outline. Make sure it's the one for the year that you're taking your exam. So they have a bunch of outlines on there, but you want the most recent one because they change the percentages of how much is going to be on your exams. And as you can see for my outline, it's full of colors. It's full of highlighted. So what I did was I plugged the numbers in ChatGPT and said out of 108 questions, because the SPI is 108 questions, I said out of 108 questions, approximately how many questions each category will be on the SPI. And I wrote the approximate number on the side. And then every single day I went in and I studied from these sections. I studied from the green book, and then I highlighted in yellow everything that's like super duper important. And every day I just went on this outline. I seen what sections wasn't highlighted, and I would go into my green book and I would study that section. And when I was finished studying that section and I had mastered it, I would go on the outline again and I would highlight it for a certain day. I color coordinated the days that I studied, and then I would highlight each section for the day that I had studied it and mastered it. I also had this outline downloaded on my iPad, and I would use my iPad too. If I didn't have access to the actual paper, I would use my iPad outline and I will highlight and stuff on there. I think it's really important to print that out, because that is like your study guide. They're literally telling you everything you need to know that is going to be on your SPI. That's really important. So many people recommend the green book. As you can see, mine doesn't even close, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but everybody recommends this book and I understand why. This is going to give you everything you need to know about what to expect from the SPI. If you study this, 9 times out of 10, you can do really well on your SPI. Now, the reason why this can't be your only study guide is because there is some things that the SPI is going to ask you that is not in this book at all. And so you need to and this book is old. Like, this book was last updated in 2004. The SPI has changed so much since then. So although this is really good to help you with your SPI, it cannot be your only study guide. The reason why mine does not close is because for every chapter, for almost every chapter, I didn't go over the chapters that I kind of like knew for sure I knew, but for almost every chapter I would go in and I would read the chapter through and through, and I would make flashcards for each chapter, and I would have my husband quiz me on them, and then the ones I did not know he would set aside, and I would just like drill those in my head. And I never took them out of the place of which chapter they were in. So each chapter has like their flashcards just in that slot, and that's why my book doesn't close. Now, one of the most expensive things that I did in order to prepare me for the SPI is I paid for the ESP seminar. It was, I think it's originally $325, but I had to pay a late fee because I did not know it was a limit on when you can buy it. So I think mine was like, I ended up paying $375 for it. If you are struggling with understanding your professor, if you need somebody else to teach it to you, or you need it to be like simplified for you, I would say it's worth it. But if you know physics, if you're doing really good in school and you don't need that extra help, I don't think that the seminar is for you. It came with this red book, and it came with something called the X Zone, and the X Zone has practice questions in it that are very similar to the SPI. I think the practice questions is what helped me get through the SPI, and they also have like mini mocks. They had like full length mocks and then like semi mini mocks, and I would take those mock exams, and when I would take them, I would sit down at my desk in my living room and pretend like it was the full blown thing. Like I took it very, very seriously. And I would take note of all of the things I got wrong. And I would like drill those concepts in my head to make sure I understood it and knew why I got my answer wrong. You don't want to memorize questions or answer to questions, because then it won't be the same on the SPI and you won't get it right because you're looking for a specific way to answer the question rather than being able to break down the question and understand why you can answer this in any format that is thrown at you. But I highly recommend this book. I don't know if you can get this book without going to the seminar, but this book helped me out so much. Like I said, the green book doesn't have everything. I'll just give you an example. The gold standard chart. This was on my SPI and this is not in the green book. Now, you can probably find gold standard on YouTube. Just soundboard review on YouTube. This guy helped me out so much, and I like his videos because he's telling you the SPI is going to try to ask you a question this way. Like he knows how the SPI asks his questions and he teaches according to that. The guy who teaches the ultrasound webinar, he also makes some of the questions that's on the SPI. So that is another instructor that knows exactly how to prepare you for your SPI. The things that isn't in the green book is in this book. It teaches you how to spot certain mirror artifact images or any artifact. Like all of the artifact pictures are in this book, and it can kind of prepare you to like understand and know how they look, which I think is very, very, very important. Another thing that really, really helped me with passing my SPI is my ultrasound physics tutor at school. She would print out like the most important things from each chapter, and after class we will go over those chapters and like point out the most important things. And another thing that she did that was really, really helpful is she printed out, or she made like a sheet of all your AKAs, because the SPI can ask you one thing in a million different ways, and it'll be very, very beneficial if you understand and know like all of the names. So she printed out a sheet. I think I can like upload it to my computer. So if you want the AKA sheet, I might be able to like email it to you. So you can just leave a comment and let me know. Getting closer to my SPI, I did lose my exome and I wasn't able to do practice questions anymore. So I did buy Preppery, I would say like 2 days before my exam, and I would answer those questions as well. I would say that the SPI is more tailored to how Preppery asks questions, but I will also say that Preppery is a little bit more wordy. So if you don't understand the concepts, when you get to the SPI, you won't be able to work around a question like you would with Preppery. It's really important for you to know what it's asking you, like know about that subject it's asking you about, because you can't work around it. It asks the question so plainly, it doesn't give you any additional information like Preppery to kind of navigate finding the answer, if that makes sense. So I wouldn't just use Preppery. I would use questions that are a little bit more challenging that you have to talk through and like communicate about to kind of drill in your head. Next, I want to talk about the things I did to prepare on the day of my SPI. I didn't take my SPI until 2 p.m. in the afternoon, so I had a full morning where I was kind of like going through the motions of, oh my goodness, I'm super nervous, I'm super anxious, my exam is in a couple of hours. I did wake up and eat a really good breakfast, which is hard for me because I'm not a breakfast girly, but I made sure I put something on my stomach. And I did a little review. I did have a classmate that took her SPI in the morning time, and then she let us know like, hey, I just took my SPI. These are the things that was on it. And some of the things that she had mentioned that was on her SPI, I hadn't studied at all. I didn't pay much attention to. And so that morning I kind of like focused on those things. But I would say I did like a light review. I did not go over too many things like thoroughly. I didn't want to send my brain into a shock. It was already super, super full. Around like 12 in the afternoon, I couldn't stay home anymore. I was like going through the motions. So then I decided to just pack a paper and a pencil and head to my testing center. And I sat in my car and I brain dumped everything I knew on the paper. I didn't do any practice questions the day of. I didn't do any full like studying. I just got to my car, sat in the parking lot, and I brain dumped everything I knew, because like I didn't want to go into the test feeling like I knew nothing. And every time I was overly studying for this exam, I felt like I don't know nothing. Like, this is so hard. I'm forgetting everything that I studied. And so in that moment, I didn't want to go into the test feeling that way. I just brain dumped everything I knew. And then I filled up like 3 pages. And I was like, oh, okay, I'm ready. I closed the paper, put it away, and I just walked right into the testing center and I went to go take my test. I wanted to keep that confidence boost that I was on, and I was like, okay, I'm ready. I'm just going to go in here and take the test. I think that's everything I did for like preparation. What I did once I got to the testing center, like once I got in to take my test, before I even pressed start on the exam, I sat down and I wrote down all of my relationships. I wrote down depth, PRP, PRF, and duty factor, and I just said like, oh, if depth goes up, PRP goes up, PRF goes down, duty factor goes down. And I wrote down the wavelength formula. I wrote down axial resolution and like what helps it, lateral resolution, what helps it. I wrote down the duty factor equation, and I wrote down the post duration equation. I also wrote out the gold standard chart, and I just started like brain dumping things that I knew was going to be really, really important for me to know. The relationship chart that I wrote down, I referred back to that so many different times on my SPI. Like, that came in clutch. That helped me out a lot because a lot of the questions are relationship questions. It's asking you, if your depth goes down, what happens to your duty factor? If your PRP goes up, what happens to your duty factor? If your depth goes up, what happens to your PR? Like, those are the questions they're asking you. So having that chart really, really helped me. Moving into like what I seen on my SPI quite often, I saw a lot of relationships. I saw a lot of resolutions. I saw a lot of artifacts, but the artifacts were in a way of like not pictures, more so like wording, like what type of artifact appears when you have a hyper echoic structure, like questions like that. So I would say know your artifacts word form and pictures just in case. I think I got like 3 photos of like gain pictures. It'll show a picture where you have a lot of gain, and then a picture B will be like the gain was fixed, and it'll be like, what control did the sonographer touch in order to fix this image, or something like that. I had a lot of mechanical and thermal index questions, which I was not expecting. I did not study that very much, but it was through and through my SPI. I had sensitivity questions, I positive predictive value, negative predictive value. I had those on my exam quite a bit. And then the transducer questions that I had specifically were comparing transducers. I had a question where it was like, why would you use one transducer over another transducer? Like, what makes this, why would you want to use this transducer instead of using this transducer? So like knowing which one benefits you in what ways, I think is very important. I also had questions about like the components of a transducer and its effect on like penetration or wavelength or resolutions. I had a lot of questions on like continuous wave Doppler, post wave Doppler, and like comparing them. A lot of the questions were relationshipy, like even when it wasn't talking about depth, PRP, PRF, like even when it wasn't talking about that, it still was making things relationship. Why would you use this over something else? What makes this better than this, or how do these work together to do whatever? Like, it was like questions like that. I think I went over everything. If you have any questions, or if you do want the AKA sheet, send me a comment and then I can ask you for your email and email it to you. Or if you have any questions that you think I did not cover in this video, you can leave your comments down below and I will try my best to answer them. If you guys want a video of my overall experience, because like I do want to talk about that, because I don't think there's a lot of awareness of how this test makes you feel, and I would love to just like put that all out and just move on with my life. So if you guys will want a video about that as well, just comment and let me know. But if not, I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll talk to you guys soon.